Good day and welcome to Window, your favorite podcast. Your podcast that concentrates on development, agriculture, investment, and business issues. I am Arrey Ivo from the African Center for Community and Development. In today's program, we shall be looking at agricultural issues in Africa and why agriculture seems to have some potentials for investment and for growth and for development in the continent. You're welcome. There are many reasons why we should be looking at agriculture as a window of opportunity, despite the fact that it is affected by several factors that include a low rate of mechanization that is also affecting the yield per hectare. This means that Africa positions itself amongst the countries or the regions with the lowest yields per hectare. And it means that in Africa, you generally have a gross margin per hectare that is lower in crops like tomatoes, plantains, banana, and so on, because of the fact that mechanization is very poor. Africa also has low levels of irrigation, and this also means that irrigation-related machinery and technologies can also be an entry point for investors in the agricultural sector in Africa. Low levels of improved varieties in seeds is a serious issue, despite the fact that there has been improvements in areas like cassava and other tubers, and there has been the improvement against diseases in cassava, such as the cassava mosaic and the brown streak disease that has affected many areas of Africa. Improved varieties of cassava are also very important for a crop that has so many industrial uses. And Africa is also facing issues about lack of market information systems, where this is also an opportunity for tech giants to come in to help lease farmers who produce to the markets that need their products, or to help them to speculate or to fight speculation, to calculate seasonality and when to plant their crops. All of this is an opportunity for investment in Africa. There is also the issue of high rate of diseases in certain crops. And if you realize, in Cameroon, there is some research that is going on now in relation to the cocoyams that is used in the preparation of the widely eaten staple called achu in the country, as it is facing a serious threat and also affecting millions of Cameroonians from the west and the northwest and across the country that depend on the meal for their daily bread. And we also face things like poor post-harvest losses based on the remoteness of farms to markets, poor road infrastructure, and also poor post-harvest technologies. In a continent where you have 230 million hungry people and 600 million people cut off from electricity, it seems to be bleak, but this is not so. There are opportunities in agriculture, as if we look at it critically, we will be seeing that the windows come from better understanding of agricultural needs across the continent. Let's go academically, and we will be taking from scholars like Adelman, 1984, Collier and Decorn in 2014, Diaw, Hazel, and Tulo in 2010, Minton and Barrett in 2008. All of them suggest something, that Africa has the enabling environment for a green revolution. And they say the reforms in government, the enabling environment that is coming from the private sector between investors and entrepreneurs, and also the fall in commodity prices is pushing African governments to restructure their economies and to concentrate on agriculture. While this might sound romantic, but on the ground, there is some movements to this direction. And let's look at the gaps in terms of food production and how investors can leverage on. You have 70% of yam production in Africa coming from one single country, Nigeria. Much of the soil in Nigeria and the climatic conditions also obtained in neighboring countries like Cameroon, like Gabon, like the Congo, and therefore yam production offers a serious opportunity for large-scale investments in the continent, likewise with all the tubers like potatoes, and their value chain development into things like chips and flour, which is also consumed widely and across the globe. If we take fisheries and livestock keeping as elements of agriculture, we also see a window of opportunity. In a country like Cameroon, importation of fish is about 100 billion francs CFA per year. That means that intervening in areas like freshwater fisheries or caged fish farming can be a wonderful window for investment opportunities in the continent and in Cameroon. This is very important as there is a thriving youthful population that investors can leverage on. 59% of 20 to 24-year-old Africans in sub-Saharan Africa will complete secondary education by 2030, which was only 42% in 2012. This tells you that the continent is having those that will understand the complex aspects of value chain development of agriculture and other businesses, that any smart and savvy business will not be looking at Africa as a risk zone, but as a zone with available both skilled and unskilled labor and cheap labor and entrepreneurs that they can work with and leverage to be able to carry out development. If we go by these numbers, it means 137 million young people in sub-Saharan Africa will have secondary education and 12 million will have tertiary education by 2030. This is very important as we need to understand that people who man modern agriculture should have some base of how to market their products locally and internationally, how to meet up with certifications, branding, and so many other issues that affect the supply of agricultural products globally. That is, if there are going to be reforms internationally on the business relations between Africa and other parts of the world. Despite these, improvements on post-harvest technologies are a window also for opportunities. Bamboo greenhouses and other forms of greenhouses can be an important aspect for rural and urban agriculture in Africa. Many people have also said that agriculture offers opportunity for value chain development in other aspects. Cassava, as we just rightly said, can be used for other industrial components, and therefore those companies that want to get cheap access to starch can also, by investing in agriculture, diversify their products. Those companies that are also going to be investing in agroforestry might also be diversifying local dependence on other forms of energy like charcoal, while utilizing those aspects like the farming of bamboo and other agricultural products or energy givers as a major aspect of their contributions to the fight against climate change. Therefore, agriculture has issues in Africa, but also offers a lot of opportunity for foreign direct investments. And so in today's program, we have been looking at some of those issues that include low rate of mechanization, low rates of capacities by farmers. It also has issues like diseases, poor post-harvest technologies, and we also have a lot of hungry people. But then There are a lot of opportunities from these statistics. You have 1.2 billion people who need to be fed, the hungry need to be fed, and also we have an emerging economy in the continent that has a middle class that has a high rate of consumption that will buy finished products that have good levels of certification. And there is also a labor force that is affordable, and there is land that is arable, and over 60% of the world's remaining arable land is found in Africa. Therefore, it is an opportunity to invest in agriculture in Africa, especially as there is a fall in commodity prices globally. Thank you very much for tuning in to Window. It has been Arrey Ivo from the African Center for Community and Development.